swap.
Bob Swap. Bob.
Yeah. So the Sunday before Thanksgiving, I said, "Dang, I almost wish we were doing a show on Thanksgiving night because
Yeah.
that's like I remember I was watching one stream and then this one popped up and I thought it was an Onion story or something."
Yeah, it is. This is like if a football, I'll use sports as sports analogy. This would be like if a team had a head coach for a long time, and they were maybe he was really successful, maybe a championship or two. But then later years, the team wasn't doing very well, so they got rid of him, brought in a new guy. New guy wasn't doing very well because he only had the guys that the old coach had. So they get rid of the new coach, and then they just bring back the old coach.
Yeah, it's like you don't even give him the customary rebuilding season,
Yeah.
and even worse, uh, the old head coach keeps publicly critiquing the new one, and he's on the board of trustees.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just this is yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. And the timing was very interesting too. Uh
Abruptly on a Sunday night.
on a Sunday night, and just a couple of days after Disney announced that they were going to be doing massive layoffs
Hmm.
and hiring freezes, and you know, employees weren't going to be they weren't going to be able to take business trips
Hmm.
and all that. It's just very very interesting.
And then, uh, not only that, but it sounds like Bob's going to be the new old Bob is going to be doing the same stuff as Chapek was. Just
Hmm.
and like people are like very confused about how to respond to this. It,
Yeah.
it almost seems like Chapek was set up or it's almost like it was an intentional plant.
Yeah, uh, it's very very strange. Yeah, I never really got the sense that Chapek was uh really in charge,
Right.
and
He got to
if
do a
he
few things, but
yeah, and maybe maybe he was doing a few things here and there, but it was just like. Well, I will say that he made some changes at the parks that I am still mad about, and I think Iger is going to roll some of those back. Uh, how how can you screw up so bad you can't do business trips? Hmm?
yeah.
Well, um, but like the park reservations, for example. If you're a ticketed, if not an annual pass holder, but if you're a ticketed uh, amusement park, if you have a ticket for the amusement park, you don't have to have a park reservation. They're going to start doing that next year. But
Yeesh.
it's I it, yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, like, you know, part of me wonders if Iger if he didn't want to really leave in the first place, and they just kind of wanted to, they just kind of put Chapek in there, and then just like didn't really let him do much, and then like, okay, well, we want Iger back,
Heat's off. COVID's over. I can come back.
yeah,
The other thing is, so have you ever seen there's an animated movie of Animal Farm.
yeah, oh yeah, I watched that in high school, yeah,
I think I watched that in elementary.
yeah,
But so do you remember the scene where the Trotsky pig is about to go announce his 5-year plan, and Napoleon, the Stalin pig, has
yeah.
him dragged off for being disloyal, and then just grabs the same paper like, here's my 5-year plan, which is much better than the Trotsky pigs.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a similar situation here.
Yeah. At this point, Disney needs to be purged of everyone in leadership. Yeah, there are definitely some people in positions of leadership in that company that do need to go.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating watching Warner Brothers versus Disney the next few years,
Hmm.
because Warner Brothers feels like, because of how they're structured, where David Zaslav came in and had a lot more power and influence,
Hmm.
he could make the unpopular choices like canceling Batgirl and things like that.
Hmm.
Where on the other hand, Chapek came in and was stymied by the. It's like the difference between being a dictator and having to be a president in a federal system,
Hmm.
where there's checks and balances on what you can do.
Yeah.
But we'll see which path gets them further.
Yeah. Yeah. I suspect Warner Brothers is probably going to see some definitely uptick in the next couple of years.
Right? A lot of people point to their debt, but I was watching some videos by Adam Post, and he pointed out that like most of they've been paying down the debt faster than they're supposed to.
Mm.
And they've also, most of that debt is at a pretty reasonable interest rate and has like a long maturity. So yeah,
Okay.
there's 50 billion in combined debt, but it's not unmanageable,
Right. Right. Yeah.
especially if they can, start really making money again.
Yeah. Yeah. And if if James Gunn, putting him in charge of DC, I think you're that could lead to some very uh, really good movies going forward, at least on the DC side. And uh, and hopefully, obviously, hopefully, you know, greater profits for them. And
Mhm.
so
By the way, I think that now that I think about it, Strange World is our counter argument to everybody who is saying, "Oh, the movie's almost done. Just release Batgirl. What could it cost you?" This is a lot. Like, this is a huge blow to company prestige.
yeah, yeah,
If they had just shoved it onto Disney Plus, they could have, they wouldn't have been hugely far behind where they were here, and they
hmm,
could have spun numbers and said, "Oh, it was our top Thursday release ever." It just
yeah,
dropped it right on Thanksgiving.
yeah, yeah. Part of me wonders if they knew this movie was bad and
Mhm.
they released it in theaters almost as a tax write off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you get a little bit of money back, and you almost wonder if it was the point, like, okay, hey, animation teams, when you make things like this,
Yeah.
here's what you get. You got a gimme with Encanto because that was still at the tail end of the pandemic and it had catchy music.
Mhm.
But Encanto is also a money loser,
Yes.
but not nearly to the scale of this.
Yeah. 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 And
But
yeah, Ninja Toe says Guardians Volume 3 is the only Disney movie that I'm actually interested in seeing in the theaters, and that was one by James Gunn. Yeah,
yep.
that's probably the only Marvel movie I have any interest in seeing.
And even then, I'm not 100% sure about it.
Yeah.
But okay, that's right. I don't have any more images for this one. Also,
Okay.
if you see this super blurry image of Bob Iger and you wonder, DB, where did you grab that awful picture? This is what MSN put up via Variety.
You're slipping, folks.
Yeah,
These
come on, Variety.
come on, Variety. And but yeah, I guess to wrap it up with Disney. It'll be interesting to see what Iger does. I'm not expecting too many changes or anything to be too different going forward. And I think it'll, you know, probably be more of the same in terms of the movies and everything. And of course, we mentioned before, Indiana Jones movie is coming out in the summer. The Dial of what was it? The Dial of
Destiny.
Destiny.
You could at least call it the sundial of Destiny.
Yeah, like Dial of Destiny sounds like a telephone.
Yeah. It's like, hey, honey, it's on the it's on the TV's on the fritz. Adjust the dial of destiny to see where we go next.
Yeah.
It's just speaking of, but we're not doing a reaction to that because it did that thing that I hate, which we'll talk about on the Super Mario trailer, which also did the thing that I hate.